very prompt. Back again, you want to make a motion to reconvene?
Move to reconvene.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, we're back again. So are we good on that?
Yeah, we're good.
On that one, so that's, okay, the 7D, county IMDP meeting. Now I was reading over that IMDP there on the drive. I was a little confused because there's two. It seems to repeat itself. There's one section, and then you have the map, and then you start over again.
Yeah.
Correct. So the first one is our current one that's in existence.
Okay.
The second one was a draft that was taken to the respective committees in May 2012 and was not adopted.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Because actually our committee structure doesn't fit the first one, but it fits the second one.
Neither does our water agreement.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it had the, you know, the first one was two elected officials plus an administrator, and I thought, well, that doesn't fit. But then as I got reading the second one, it was 3 elected officials from each.
And that's partially why I called Marion on this. I phoned her a couple days ago and I said, I need the brief history here, because it looks like we should be meeting once a year to review anyway. And she said back in 2012, when they were providing water to this was all around the water thing.
Yeah.
And they realized that they were non-compliant with the IMDP and how they were delivering water. So that's what spurred this draft and this review,
Okay.
which oddly enough, I cannot find the draft.
Oh.
I've talked to Murray, I've looked on our servers, I've called Orsk. Nobody seems to know who created this thing.
No.
But,
The source of the draft, I mean.
yeah, the parent document, I can't find a nice, clean digital copy. So it's not that big of an agreement, we'll be okay. But Marion said at the time, they started negotiating to change the IMDP, and what came out of it was the water conveyance agreement.
Right.
Yeah.
So at the end it was determined, well, let's look at how we're conveying water, which didn't make us totally compliant with the IMDP per se, but it made us compliant with Alberta environment and how we're conveying water.
So that water conveyance was approved by...
Yes, water conveyance was a byproduct of this review, but the fact of the matter is that the IMDP needs updated. There was some political issues around when they met on this previously, because it was looking to get approved just prior to the election. And the county, their comment was that it appears to be an annexation document, and they wouldn't sign it prior to the election.
Yeah, well, it talks about annexation.
Well, but it also talks about how it allows for each community to develop without the need.
Annexation is a fact of life among municipalities. I mean, you need to address it, or, you know, like...
It needs to be addressed, the process and how it will be dealt with, and grievances throughout, and all those things need to be addressed. So what spurred this on your agenda tonight is, and I need to clarify a couple of things. We got a notice of a development just adjacent to Mark Bennett's home, just south. And it's an 8,660 square foot barn and shop. That's what the development letter said. So we sent a letter back administratively saying, in our IMDP and in your zoning, this is supposed to be group country residential. And yes, I guess it fits as a discretionary piece, but well, you've seen our letter, that it's not a great fit, but other than that, I guess, okay. And so we sent that letter, and Murray phoned me and said, look, I took your letter to council, they want to get the IMDP committee together to meet. They figure this is as good a trigger as any to get together and sit down and meet. Now, since then, I've had a little more context as to the use and design of the building. It's intended to be a family gathering, a small reunion center for a family, for lack of a better term, is what its intention is. It's not a livestock barn. Okay, so I also called Mr. Bennett and said, do you have great exception to this? And he said, no, I don't actually. I don't think it's going to impede my view. I know who's going to build it. I think they'll be good caretakers of it. He's not thrilled about it, obviously. And when I talked to Murray, I also said, you know, it would be good if you could have them situate the barn that eventually a primary residence could also fit on the lot. So that one day maybe it is just an ancillary building to a primary residence. So we had some of that discussion, but knowing the use and having talked to Mr. Bennett, you know, I'm glad that everyone is feeling a little more warm and fuzzy about it than just on its face and getting the letter saying 8,600 square foot barn.
Yeah, but it says Jeff barn/shop.
Yeah, so it'll be kind of a garage storage for RV and boat and some of those, like, those family items, they can all store their stuff there, and then the other half is basically a large gathering area for big family functions. The only thing I caution with this, on our side of the boundary or the other, is when you look at planning, you can't approve buildings based on the person building them and their ability to keep it up, because eventually they may not own it. And the next guy may run it as an 8,600 square foot barn,
Exactly.
because it's there. And now all of a sudden, the neighbors aren't so happy. So it's not super sound planning to approve it based on, hey, this is a good guy and he's gonna take care of it. I have no doubt he will either, by the way, no doubt. So I think it's just a good opportunity for the two IMDP committees to sit down and say, and to be frank, the agenda in my mind is simply, is there an appetite to update the IMDP?
Right.
If there is, great. In fact, it would be an awesome ACP grant
Yeah,
to hire ORSC to walk us through the process,
yeah,
as an aside.
not a bad idea. Do you know whose turn it is to chair that committee? 'Cause
I
this is
believe it's
alternate.
ours.
Our turn to,
I think, but I can confirm that with Murray, but I just wondered if it's a simple agenda of, is there an appetite before the next election to redo the IMDP?
I think-
And should we hire ORSC to do it? And should we apply for an ACP grant to pay for that?
well, good idea. I mean, Mayor Kronen and myself and Councillor Peavoy are on that committee, and would be happy, you know, I think I can speak for Councillor Peavoy, happy to, you know, I think we should get together, and I think you indicated that we should get together and kind of go through a plan.
Yeah, internally, we should.
Plan of attack,
Yeah.
how to approach the county on this, and if they've got an appetite to meet with us, this, you know, we strike while the iron is hot, you know.
This is on their invitation, for sure.
So, yeah, I don't know if we need, do we need an
So
motion?
the only thing I would throw out is, it's Councillor Peavoy, yourself, and the mayor, if the other four of you have some items within that you want to make sure discussed, please tell your colleagues, because then we can create a bit of an agenda for that meeting. But my feeling, my political mind here is saying, if we simply have consensus to redraft the IMDP, and we bring in a third party to do it, it takes a lot of the headbutting and posturing across the table out of the document.
Yeah, well, I think if we could do it in a way, I sometimes don't like necessarily have somebody, a third party, just say, here it is. I'd like to do it through a process,
Yeah.
similar to what we do with our strategic planning,
Yeah.
so that you bring all three, you know, you bring both sides plus the third party to facilitate
Oh, yeah,
the
But that's the
discussion.
idea.
totally agree.
And then,
Totally.
and then it's not a surprise to either, to any party, so.
And the nice thing with ORSC is they already work for both of us.
Works with
Yeah,
both of us.
and they work with us.
They're already an agreed upon authority in this matter.
So, yeah, I think if we could do it in that manner, I think it would be good. I think we can get the county to do that, so.
So the question then becomes, when do you want to try and set this up?
As soon as possible.
Yeah, as soon as
Yes.
possible, yeah. for me.
Sooner the better.
Sooner.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
ASAP.
I will try and find something for the week of the 18th
Okay,
of January. That gives us enough time to get
January.
together,
Okay.
and it gives them enough time to get together.
And Councillor Chairman, if Councillor Peavoy can't meet it, I can certainly sit on it.
Okay,
And that gives us enough time to put an ACP grant together if we need to. In fact, we might just start it prior.
okay, great.
Have it half loaded.
Okay, well, does our, I'd say they haven't really accepted that format. I would just, Councillor Bengry just volunteered, you know, to fill in if Councillor Peavoy can. Does our,
I'd have to look. Well,
The rules.
right now, we're in contravention
Anyway.
of the agreement.
yeah, we're, you know, we haven't even adopted that agreement, so, anyway, but we'll plan on that, plan on meeting. Okay, so I think we can go to the planning session agenda, 7E, and Jeff, you've laid this out very well. It looks good to me.
There's one change.
Okay,
Sergeant Smeniak cannot be there on the 30th.
okay.
So I talked to him today and asked if, and I want to ask you as council if this would be agreeable. We have an ad hoc policing meeting coming up with him the week of the 18th as well, the 22nd, I believe.
Okay.
And if we could talk about the priorities of the town at that meeting, and then your ad hoc committee can bring it back at our planning session to the entirety of council.
So that's the
And then when he's back, if there's any tweaks, he said he'd be more than happy to do that, happy to tweak it after the fact, because he still has a lot of work to do on it. So if you guys are okay with that, we can deal with it that way.
Yeah, I think,
I'm okay with that.
And Councillor Creed, Mayor Cronin, you will find an email when you get home about me asking if you can meet on the 22nd at 9 a.m.
okay,
with Sergeant Smeniak.
all right, sounds good. Okay. All right, any other comments on the planning session? We've kind of indicated that we'll probably talk a little bit about more council remuneration in that
Well,
session.
it won't take that long to probably go over what you discussed with Zane. So
that should
we
be
could
5
fit it
minutes,
in,
yeah.
you know, there's
Yeah.
a little bit of time there, 20 minutes anyways.
So, okay,
Sure.
well, very good. Well, thank you very much then on that. Are you still looking for any more submissions, or is the kind of window closed on that now?
I think we got a full day, but I'm happy to substitute something. You know, if you feel there's a higher priority, I'm happy to go on priority at this point in time, for sure.
Okay.
Well, that miscellaneous,
Councillor Creed, Chairman Creed, when we look at the time for infrastructure, 2 hours, is that going to be enough, Jeff?
I will bring you as much to discuss as we can fit in 2 hours. I'll have to tailor it accordingly.
Yes, please, because that's quite a package there.
Yeah, I mean, essentially what I'd like to see at this, and I'm gonna be very honest, my gut reaction discussing remuneration at this isn't that I'm not thrilled about it, because I'd like the tone of the session to be really looking forward. And so when we talk about infrastructure, what we're gonna be talking about, what I'd like to present to you is, do we wanna start burying raw water irrigation lines in all of our utility
Right.
jobs now? For use, who knows when? 20 years from now, I'm not sure. But do we want to start putting that infrastructure in? When it comes to Axia, the question we want to talk about is, do we want to start burying cable now? Irrespective of whether Axia is going to do something, or is it just, does it seem reasonable while Second Avenue is torn up next year, the cable goes in the road?
Well,
Yeah.
that's while we've got open ditches.
Yeah.
When we have open ditches, let's think about what could go in those ditches.
So I'll be bringing you the cost, the incremental
Yeah.
cost above and beyond the per meter cost of water and sewer, to put those in. I want to have some of that discussion. Creek and flood remediation is the costs of annually of doing different things. So that's where I'm looking with all the infrastructure piece.
Yeah.
have you had any more communication with Axie?
Actually, he had
Show up?
like 3 weeks later, he emailed me and said, gee, I'm so sorry I missed. When's your next one? I said, in a year.
Next year.
I just wanted to make a comment because there was a thing in Facebook, these guys were promoting the Axie on there, they're all excited and everything, and then I reiterated in there a tongue-in-cheek comment, kind of, I said, we're so excited you didn't show up to our community awareness night, you know, and I said, you know, they were all hyped up to come and told us they were gonna be there and promised they'd be there, and they never showed up. Last minute.
Just so
So
you
the
know.
guy come on and apologized. and
Oh, okay.
I had 2 or 3 comments back and forth, and I said, well, that's fine, you know, are you really gonna do something, though? I want to know before I'm gonna be supportive of Axia. You know, I wanna make sure that they're serious about this, you know, because they were a no-show.
So I explained it was an annual event, but I also said that, and I told him in my email, I said the interpretation of the no-show to my council was that you're subscribed for the next year, and you're really not looking to take on another community. And I said, so correct me if I'm wrong, and I haven't heard back.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering if they are, maybe they are.
That's what I suggested.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
anyways,
All right.
but they're sure promoting it out there right now on the
Okay,
airwaves.
but yeah, okay, well, anyway, we'll talk about that at the planning
So
session.
Councillor Bengry, we're gonna get to work tomorrow, I have a meeting tomorrow on the planning session with the staff and assigning all this out. We'll try and frame this within the time we have, for sure.
And that renewable energy is a major
Yeah, I'm
thing.
hoping that we have the study by then.
Yeah, that would be good. All right.
One other thing, and I sent you a note on the snow removal, is that gonna have a little bit of a discussion in there on the miscellaneous?
What's the
What's
issue?
that was
Do we need-
Sorry.
What's the matter with it? I have no problem, I can get around quite fine, but I've had a lot of people stop me
Okay.
in the street, public meetings, church, that are saying, you know, what's going on
Yeah.
there?
Well,
We're not happy with the latest
Okay.
overgrowth.
Okay,
That's all.
Can I just?
Yeah, all right, sure,
for a
yeah.
second? Is it possible for all of us to be a little bit more proactive and tell our people who seem to be discontent
Mhm.
about that, to tell them to call the town? If it's a matter of clearing an intersection
That's what
or
I did.
whatever, there is nothing that says that the town will not dispatch a front loader to clear the intersection, if that's the issue. I had a citizen stop me with the same issue, got stuck in an intersection. I said, what did you do? He said, nothing. I said, well, why don't you call the town so that somebody else won't get stuck there? Bad enough you needed 4 people to push you.
Yeah, I know. Well, I did the same thing. I had the same approach, you know, called the town, talked to them, but you're my town representative.
Yeah,
Why
but
don't you talk to the town?
no, you're
So I
the
did.
citizen, you're
But I
the
told them the
citizen
same
that
thing.
need to call, and ours is to follow up on a phone call.
Yeah.
Ours is to make sure something has been done in between, whichever that is, that there is a follow-up. And that's what I told them. I told them, I will follow up, but I won't do your work. You need to call.
great.
When I got the email from Jeff, I made a suggestion to Jeff, you know, about the intersections. And I'm sure that he took that to heart. Because our intersections on our street are major intersections for people coming to the temple.
Mm.
And we've had a lot of people stuck coming and going, you know, on the 2 intersections, on the second and third. So,
Yeah, maybe we might talk a little
There's
bit
some
about that
area-
on our planning, because, you know, streets are one thing, but yeah, your intersections create a special
and they get drifted in.
problem. Well, they get drifted in and you got ruts running both
Yeah.
directions.
Yeah.
That's just what the issue
That's,
is.
I find that.
Especially a stop intersection.
I get over them, but you know, they're really quite bumpy with
Yeah, Wendy's
my
pushing.
truck, but,
I gotta get these trucks now, so I'm gonna have to pump double tap on a truck.
yeah, okay.
That's cool.
All right, so we just got some correspondence, and I think we can make it before 6 o'clock, so let's do it. 9A is Alberta Order of Excellence, an invitation to nominate someone, and there's a website you can go to. Do we have actually any physical copies of the applications, or do we just have to go to the
Just go to the website.
But anyway, you're welcome to look at that if you can think of somebody. What's the deadline on this one? December, let's see, just, February 15th. February 15th is your nomination deadline, so we've got a little time to look at that. If you like to look at that, we'll do that, okay? All right, let's go to 9B. Cardston District Health Foundation. Now, Jeff informed me that we do donate to this organization
Yes,
every
we do.
other year,
Yeah.
and this is just the off year, so.
This is the off year.
This is the off year, so.
They get $500, right, if I'm
Yeah.
correct?
So we will be donating to them
Yeah.
Next year?
next year. so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get $500 from the fund.
So unless there's any other thoughts on that, we'll
We
turn.
covered 9C.
9C2, we covered 9C1, which was on the grant, ACP grant. 9C2 basically just tells us that we got a grant under the gas tax funding for $66,000 for the golf course subdivision, so just for our information. That's good. And 9D is an interesting letter from a person who's not from our community, but he's concerned about dogs being chained up on these
We
roads.
received it, we reviewed it.
So that, we'll take that for an opinion, information.
We received it, we reviewed it.
We've looked at it, so thank you very much. That's all I've got.
Nothing under 10?
Number 10, I don't have anything under number 10, no confidential items. Councilor Mayor.
I'll give you the motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion to adjourn. All in favor? There we go. Thank you.
Congratulations.
You're done before 6. There you go.
All right. I'll keep my commitment.